Hello, hello, everybody.
Hello.
I see Barb, Les, Ray,
Hey.
Bill, and Blue so far. Welcome, you guys.
We'll go make sure that Nancy's getting set up.
All right, that's cool. And we're gonna have Jack jump and join us. Jumpin' Jack. Barbara,
Jack Flash is a gas.
gas. Love it.
Hi, Blue.
Hey, Barb.
Sorry I didn't get back with you at your phone call yesterday.
Oh, you guys, Jesus, am I just like brain dead or what? So I never realized that in texting, the capital L looks just like the capital I, which is why, Jesse, I didn't know if your street was L or I, but there you have it. It's I. We got it.
Okay, let's see. Who else do we got? And Bill, you said Nancy's going to come in soon? Well, oh, Bill's gone. Never mind.
Oh,
They're
invisible
working on
Bill.
it. They're working on it.
What a good hobby.
Did anybody have anything cool happen in the last week that you can share with the group, or anything nice, anything positive news?
A good friend of mine created a comedy special. Hi, Nancy.
A good friend of yours created a what?
A good friend of mine created a comedy special honoring his dad who passed away from pancreatic cancer, and he just shared it. And it was a real, like, it's a stand-up comic, but it's a really well intertwined, humorous yet sad thing, you know. So it was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that like on? He just did that like on Facebook Live or something, or did he do it?
No, he actually produced it himself, and he's from Virginia, and the special starts off with him driving to the grave with flowers, because he does the special at the grave, but it's intertwined with Zoom comedy mics and also live safe social distancing during COVID. So it was like he just lost his dad last year, so it's been like 8 months he's been producing this, but like it's really cool the way it's edited.
Pretty amazing project.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it honestly reminded me of something you would do, Jesse, because it's very organic and DIY. Like, it's not like he's got sound people and it's a very great production, but it's very like it's very accessible. It's not a type of special that's like all about like Eddie Murphy Raw, where it's like it's very real. You know, there's no suits.
Right. I love it.
Well, Blue took a big leap when I was on this road trip with my sister, and we were in a town called Ashford, which is at the base of Mount Rainier, and we were grocery shopping, and we were both in really terrible moods, and this guy was being really helpful with trying to help us find our cabin. And then I watched him buy his steak and beer and walk out the door, and I thought, Blue, go ask him if he wants a pen pal. And I just didn't have the nerve to do it. So when I got back home, I called this little store that I had a receipt from and asked if the girl would be kind enough to ask the man that I met on Tuesday night if he wanted a pen pal, and left my number, and the dude called me. So it's been fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I met a mountain man.
Oh, that's so fantastic. All right. So let's get started. Thank you guys for sharing Jack and Blue. Those are great stories. I should do that every time. I love hearing what you guys have to share when good things happen to people. That's wonderful. Bill, I like your companion. That is a cute companion.
Is she adorable? She's just the cutest schnauzer. Look at her. She knows it too. Yeah, I'm all that and more.
All right. So
this is one of my oldest clients, real quick. Her name is Binky, and she's been with me since 2012.
Oh,
How cute is that?
Oh, wonderful. Wow.
Go for it.
Dog Central.
And I know Barbara Berg has some real cutie patooties too.
What do you got there, Barb?
Here's one here.
Oh, Stuart.
And this is one on my lap someplace.
Which one is that?
It's my Jack Russell.
Yeah, I know, but which one? Don't
Oh,
you?
Nipsey.
Nipsey, okay.
Nipsey Russell. Remember?
Nipsey Russell.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do we're going to work on character development again today. And then we have some games. We're going to see if we can try to get to Slackers today, which is a fantastic game. And we've never done it on Zoom. We're going to try it. But before that, we're going to work on characters. And we're going to do it again in the room here. We might do breakout rooms. We'll see. But I wanted to go through a couple different character development ideas just to get you in the flavor of it. And some of these are silly or they feel weird at first. We've done a lot of them before, but you might not remember it real well. And the first one we're going to do is called masks. And I'm actually going to have a couple people demonstrate, and then we will do the breakout rooms, and then we'll come back. So masks is a game where, and some of you have no problem with this. Some of you will find this extremely difficult. Depends on if you're how you feel about this. But you basically are going to take and put a facial expression glued to your face. You're not going to change your expression for the whole scene. So if you're going to smile like this, you have to keep this expression on your face for the entire scene. Okay, that's going to be my entire scene. If you're going to be sad, you have to keep it on your face for the entire scene. And notice how it I even tried not to have it affect my voice. You can't help it, right? It's going to do that. And I want you to pick think of those, those Japanese kabuki masks or something like that, or something that has a strong expression instead of just like a blank face. Actually, blank face is okay if you could hold it. That's tough. Like if you're just going to be like the whole time and you had to deal like this and there, it's almost like you have to be a ventriloquist for some of these masks, okay? Because you really don't, you want to hold the mask. No, because I want you to understand what this game is about, right? It's kind of silly, but there's a purpose. The purpose is, first of all, can you have control of your face and can you identify how it is its own unique thing, right? We usually don't think about it. Most of it is subconscious or automatic, I mean. And some subconscious things come out, but it's basically, we don't think about it. Our face just does whatever, but you can actually have it independently controlled from the rest of your, your dialogue and everything else. That's a minor thing to do, but, or to learn, or a minor point. The major point is to see how it affects your character, how it affects your mood, how it affects your voice, how it affects the rest of your body, your posture and your positioning and the way you carry yourself. And I know we're mostly up close. And if some of you have the ability to back away from your camera, you may use that again today too. But the point is you want to use the face and see how it affects your scene with your partner. Okay. And I need 2 volunteers who want to brave this and just try it. Who would like to try it? Raise your hand or put a thumb up.
I'll try it. I'll try it.
Barbara Berg, who else? And Jack. I'm gonna have Barb and Jack start, okay? And then I'm gonna do a scene with Blue and Nancy. Is that okay? Because I think I saw you 2 raise your hands. So, and then after that, we're gonna do breakout rooms for a minute, and just so you get to more practice, okay? So Jack and Barb, you're up. You guys are gonna do a scene. Your suggestion is lollipop. That's the only suggestion you're gonna get. Other than that, you pick the facial expression. You're gonna start a scene. You're gonna have exactly 2 minutes. If you finish your scene before 2 minutes, that's fine, but you got 2 minutes. Take it away.
You always take my lollipop.
I want your lollipop because I like lollipops.
We need to go back to the store and get more lollipops.
We could do that, but I don't have any money.
You always lose your money every single time you bet on the horses.
I like betting on the horses because they're fast and they give me more money.
I wish the horses could help us with our car that broke down.
Well, they probably could. They have horsepower. Let's ask them.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Well, guys. Good girl. Good girl.
What did she say, Jack? What did she say?
She went.
Oh. Well, that means that she says she can get under the hood and share some horsepower with you.
Of course she could share horsepower, but we could also share more lollipops.
Well,
Okay, scene. I was laughing a couple times there. I couldn't help it, you guys. That was really good job on keeping those expressions.
Really?
It was hilarious. I really liked when Paul, welcome. Paul's with us now. I really like when he came on because he blew his nose, just coincidentally, but it happened to be right when you guys were starting the sad scene. Like really pouring it on, Jack. And it looked like he had been crying. And then Blue came in as one of the horses. I like that. So, did you find it tough or easy?
It wasn't.
It wasn't hard now because we've done it before. For me, what I found really cool was that by actually contorting my face, it gave me a more understanding of a character immediately.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like not starting with the idea, like instead of me thinking, what character do I want to be? I was thinking, how am I going to position my face? And then everything will come from that. So it was a cool way. Yeah.
Let's have Blue and Nancy do one. You guys have a suggestion. Your suggestion is dog.
Dog.
Okay. Blue and Nancy, you guys are in a scene. Go ahead and begin.
Hey, girlfriend. Hey. Do you want to go to the dog park with me?
God, I get a little afraid about those critters, but yeah.
What's your problem? I understand you. What did he say?
I said, I'll go. Those critters tend to scare me a bit.
Alright, I guess I just skip that and we'll go to the closest dog park there is.
Okay, right around the corner.
Oh, that's a good idea. Let's do it. Give me your hand and we'll go together. Oh, nice. What's your favorite dog?
Well, they're all pretty scary. I tend to favor schnauzers.
Ah, Schnauzer. I like Pipples. Pipples are my favorite.
Oh, those are very frightening.
Okay. I must be a simpleton because this is hilarious to me. And I'm watching the rest of you guys sometimes. I'll go back and forth in here and I watch some of your screens and it's kind of like, what the is this? And just the expression on your, and I think it's hilarious. So, and I know for a fact that sometimes when you go in and do something simple like that, the audience loves it. And I don't just mean
Welcome
because
back,
of
Blue.
it's not just because of the buffoonery though. I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
Some of it is
was.
like when you really like in the first 5 seconds or 10 seconds, the shock of the face for us as an audience, it kind of wears off and then we get used to it. And then what happens is okay, that silly, stupid thing kind of wears off. And then we're actually curious, what are you going to do with it? Like, what are you possibly going to do with a character? And you're forced to, after about 10 or 15 seconds, you got to kind of, okay, the face, it's all right. The shock of you and your crazy facial expression already wore off on the audience. Now what you actually say and how you say it becomes interesting. And so what was fun was watching you both kind of like, okay, what kind of lines am I going to have here? I don't have a script. So what would this weird mask thing say? And then it starts coming out of you. So it's not just the tone of voice, but it's also the actual words you say that are affected by it. What are you thinking and what are you doing because of that face? So I thought it was great.
See, I was trying to go either mad, sad, glad, or frad. So I thought, okay, those are 4 things I can maybe do a facial expression with, maybe exaggerate it a bit. So that's where I went.
Your face was my favorite so far of all the people doing faces because it was just so like I could feel the emotion in it. It was good.
Yeah.
I was just beginning to understand her too. Dag nabbit, and our 2 minutes were up.
Let's do just a couple minutes in a breakout room. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to get with a partner and try this out. And don't worry about looking like an idiot. That's part of the game, right? That's part that's part of what it is. So we're gonna do, let's see, 2 to 3 people in a room. I'm creating them now. Let's see, I'm gonna have Barb and Bill and Blue in one room. You guys have the 3-person room. That'll be interesting. Everybody wear faces the whole time. Okay, pick a face, stick with it. Everybody has a suggestion. of I want everybody to try the suggestion of rainstorm. Rainstorm. Okay. Here's your room. Go ahead and join it whenever you are ready. Join the rainstorm.
Okay.
Okay. How did that go?
That
How
was
did that
fun.
go?
That
Oh,
was
man. My
Yeah,
jaw's
my jaw.
exhausted.
Les, were you able to do it?
I broke in the middle of it. I had started laughing. Raymond was a little crazy, and
Did well.
we got back into it.
That's great.
He's good at this.
Okay.
What's neat about the characters, Jesse, is that it almost gives us a self-written script.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
There you go. Now remember, with all of these exercises that we do and when things that we workshop, don't forget all of this stuff. They're just tool. You know how I say it's tools in your tool belt or tools in the tool chest, right? The toolbox. Because you don't have to use this ever, or you could use it all the time, right? It's just you need to be able to pull things out when you're creating a scene. You want to have an interesting character. Here's one thing that you could pull out that gives you an instant character, even if you don't actually use it, completely for a scene. Even if it just gives you the idea to start a character, that's sometimes all you need is something to get started. Is think, oh, it's as simple as picking a facial expression and going on stage. So try it sometime. Try it. The next one we're going to do is tone of voice. Okay, now tone of voice, again, all these things affect character, the character you have. So tone of voice, instead of focusing on the mask or the facial expression, you're going to focus on the tone of voice. That could be high, low. It could be loud, soft. It's a little trickier in here compared to in a theater or something, right? On Zoom, because it's harder to show all of those nuances of, especially loud and soft, but you can. And also, the tone of the voice includes a lot of the timbre, all the other little qualities. So those of you that have studied audio and radio, like Paul and Les, and so I think a few of you might have done that as well. You know that there's a lot to the voice, right? So what I want you to do is pick a tone of voice. Now, it could be a character voice, or it doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be a wild and zany, your impression of a purple elephant, or your impression of an alien, or a talking alligator, or it could just be, a soccer mom, banker lady, a lawyer, irritated doctor, right? So whatever in your head gives you whatever you want to use with tone of voice. And it's okay to even not think about it very much. Just like see what comes out. And then whatever your tone of voice is, try to stick with that same tone for the whole scene, right? Don't change it. Kind of stay with the same theme of your tone of voice the whole scene and see what it does to your character. Let it lead your character. Let it just determine your occupation. Let it determine the words you use, just like we did with mask, right? So tone of voice. 2 volunteers, please. 2 new. I got Raymond, yes, and Bill. I got Raymond and Bill first up. You guys are first up. These are just going to be a minute, a little bit shorter, but still the last scenes only went about that long anyway. So, all right, you guys go ahead, take it away.
Raymond. Raymond.
Yes.
I need you to lower your voice, Raymond.
Okay. How's this?
No, you need to use your indoor voice, Raymond.
Very well. How's this?
It's way too. That's at least 0.12 decibels. That's much too loud.
This way.
Is that your Darth Vader impersonation, Raymond?
Yes. And a Monday. It's a Monday right now.
Raymond, speak up. No one can hear you.
And scene. All right, cool. Good. That affects things a lot, doesn't it? Isn't that crazy? That's crazy.
That's
So
great, Raymond.
that was fun. Now let's have another group. Two others. Who would like to try it? I got Blue and somebody else. Barbara Hagan. Okay. Blue and Barbara Hagan, you two are up. Now, before you start, I'm going to challenge you even more. So that was perfect. Everything's great. Now I want you to, when you start this scene, try not to talk about what you're doing or what you're behaving like or what the other person is behaving like. Just talk about another subject. And this is kind of a crossover between this game and another game. But for example, if in the last scene, Bill was talking about Raymond's voice, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but I want you to try it where you don't do that. In other words, you need to talk about mowing the lawn, the weather, what's going to happen at work today. Did you file the TPS reports, whatever, but don't talk about actually each other's voices or facial expressions, or don't call out to it. You don't need to do that. I want to see it without that. It's very intriguing too. Go for it.
Oh dear. I was at Costco and these people were wearing their masks below their nose and it was so gross. I don't know why they do that.
Hey, I'm just really happy to be here. I gotta tell you, I am pumped. So I know the mask stuff, it kind of gets in the way. I hear you there, but boy, what a great day. What a great day for Costco.
You seemed like you went to Costco to buy something, or why did you go?
Oh, mostly I just go because I'm a people person. I'm a people person, and there's all sorts of people to watch at Costco, and it just really pumps me up. I like to get motivated and motivate the people around the chicken counter, and motivate the people around the vegetables. It tickles me.
Oh no, people scare me. When I go to Costco, it's just they're having their nose. I don't know what's coming out of it. It's just too scary for me sometimes.
And scene. All right, good. That was a great contrast, wasn't it? With Blue,
Yeah, no kidding.
hyper, almost like an announcer versus Barbara, really lethargic, slower, worried. That was really cool contrast.
It's hard to
guys
be a
see-
motivational speaker.
That was great. You guys see how interesting the characters are?
Yeah.
Just from the tone of voice, right?
Mhm.
So now I want we're going to do breakout rooms again one more time, just so I want everybody to get a little practice. So on this time, what I want you to do is we're going to have our, I'm just going to stick with the, let's recreate this room here. Recreate all rooms. Okay, I got new rooms. This time the breakout room with 3 is Barbara, Jack, and Raymond. Okay, so if you are in the 3-person scene, same thing, but you got 3 people, all with different tones of voice. I want you to make sure that you talk about, something going on other than, calling out each other's specific things. Like, hey, why are you talking so slow, Jack? You don't need to do that. Just move into real life issues, right? Okay, go ahead. These rooms are open.
That was fun.
How did that go?
So silly.
Hey, Jesse, can I make one quick comment?
Yes.
Oh my God. So I ended up doing something by focusing on my tone of voice, is that I started this character and was moving, but I wouldn't stop doing this too on myself.
Yeah.
So like, I've never done that.
You were weird.
Yeah, it was very weird, but but we had a serious discussion about returning flowers, and it almost becomes like I used to think this exercise was just being like absurd and cheap laughs, but it's actually really like on a high level plane of comedy when I think about it,
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Anybody else? Anybody else have an epiphany or anything?
Yeah, Wes.
Who's a studier?
Crappy customer service.
I was yelling at my customer.
Oh, Wes has crappy customer service. He's horrible.
I was trying to play a character where in the past, I've worked with people that thought because somebody doesn't speak English all that well, if yelling at them actually will help move the conversation along. And I know it doesn't. And but I broke down with asking questions, Jesse. Instead, I got to break that habit. So.
Oh yeah. Yep. It's hard. It's a hard one to break. You know, that's it.
I feel ask me.
And I
He was
tried
getting
talking
better,
really
though.
slow. That's hard to do.
Mhm.
Sorry, Barb.
Oh.
I was trying to talk really slow.
Nancy, I was wondering what you would look like when you got really mad, because I think you got really mad at the end. And I was waiting for that slow buildup of outrage to
It
come.
was starting to happen. I was saying it goes both ways, and here
And then we
we
got
go.
cut off.
It
These are
might have gone from
fantastic.
0 to 100.
Okay, we have one more that we're gonna do. So far, just to review, we did masks, right? And we did tone of voice. That's just 2. There's a whole bunch, but these are 2 really good ones. And you can see how they could relate. What if you combine the 2, right? We're gonna do a 3rd one though, and this is piggybacking off of what we did last week. Well, we worked on status a lot. Remember, a lot of status, high and low.
Yeah.
We had the deal where it's 1 through 10, and if you got a 10 versus a 1 and all that. So we're gonna play a game where in each scene, and we started this last week, but we're just going to dive into it a little bit more. If somebody jumps in and they're going to pick high or low status, and then the second person, whoever their partner is, they're going to respond by picking the opposite of their status immediately. So for example, if Nancy and I are in a scene and Nancy comes in with a real high status character and I perceive it as like a 10 or something like really high, then I'm going to be a very low, like 1 level status character. Now, if she comes in and she's a 1, then I'll be a 10. And you should be able to tell within a line or 2, right? Really quickly. And if she comes in and she's a high status character, but not, it's hard. It's more like she's a 5 or a 6, right? Like it's kind of high, like I guess relative to somebody else who's very neutral. So she's a 6. Then I'm at least going to want to play a 4. And I might just choose to go 1 anyway, right? So you don't, the degree, I'm not so concerned about trying to match the degree of difference. It's easier if you just pick high and then low, or low and then high. And remember, there's a lot of ways to notate status. It could be positional leadership, like we use the school example. The principal of the school by default has a higher status typically than the other people in the school. Okay. It more likely is going to come from attitude, right? Or actual leadership rather than just positional leadership, right? The actual leadership, which is that person able to command other people and do other people listen to them, right? So the character, you could do it in a lot of ways, but occupation helps. Like if you come in as a police officer, typically you're going to be someone who's perceived as having authority, right? So that is something you can use. And if you have trouble establishing a good character, then use it as a crutch. It's okay. Say, okay, officer Barb Berg here at your service, whatever, like, okay, well, right away, a title or something, I'm CEO of XYZ Corporation. Okay, that title is going to help. And if you're having trouble, use it. It's okay. But you don't need it. You can also just come in with an attitude, right? You can have an attitude of weakness, and an attitude of strength, and an attitude of everything else in between. Okay, so give me 2 volunteers, please, who would like to try this. 2 new people that haven't been volunteers. How about Paul and Jack? Paul and Jack.
Oh, I already went already. If somebody else wants to go.
Paul hasn't. How about Les?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so Les and Paul, you 2 are in a team. Your suggestion is moon. Your suggestion is moon, and you're going to do high and low status game. All right, ready? And
Hey, Paul, we're going to the moon tonight.
Yeah? How are we going to do that?
Yeah, get on the ship and we're moving.
Oh, do I have to? It's scary.
You're part of this. You're part of this now, Paul. Yes.
It's scary up there. It's nothing there.
Man up, Paul.
I signed on for this, but I figure I get laid a lot. But going up there and getting on that rocket, that's scary.
You're gonna get laid out unless you get on that ship.
Oh, you're threatening me? That's scary. Why do you do that? You're a mean guy.
Man up, Paul.
I am a man.
Yes, you are. Get on the ship. Let's go, guys.
All right, good scene. Excellent. All right, not bad. Some learning lessons there. Hey, Paul, a couple of little reminders. You asked several questions during that scene, and they didn't really add information, right? They kind of slowed it down a little bit. But you both did a good job of sticking with, you know, that status. Another thing about questions with status scenes. This just occurred to me, and I remember thinking it last week, but I forgot to say anything about it, and then I just remembered it again. When you are, and this is where, remember how we had some scenes where it was kind of tough to figure out if somebody was, you know, like a 6 or a 10, and there was a bunch of confusion there. There was one thing that contributed. I'm not saying this is the cause of the confusion, but this contributed to it. Some people with a lower status asked questions. And that questioning comes across as being assertive, and it messes you up. You think, oh, they're low status. So for example, if someone says, Jesse, get on the bus. And I go, why do I have to get on the bus? Now, a low status person doesn't ask why they got to get on the bus. They just get on the bus because they were told to do it. And they are too low status to do anything about that. They just go, okay. And they go get on the bus. But a person who's not that low might question their authority. Now, you may, in your head, as a performer, you might go, I didn't mean that. It's automatic. I didn't know what to do, so I asked a question. But if you really dig into that, would you ask a question if the person came in and they were like a 10 and you were a 1? No. If they came in, if the boss comes in, let's say it's a huge company and you're afraid to lose your job and you respect the boss and you like her, and she comes in one day and she's pissed and she tells you to do something, are you going to go, do I really have to do that? No, she's going to do it, right? So remember how those questions, they really screw us up in a lot of ways in improv. Again, you'll hear me every now and then say it's okay sometimes, but I think when we're new, and all of us are still really new, like after 10 years maybe, then maybe you can start asking questions.
I'll be dead.
But like for the first decade of improv, don't ask so many darn questions, you guys. Like, stop doing it, because all they do is they slow the scene down and they don't contribute more information, especially when you're trying to do yes and in the initial setup of a scene and you're trying to develop the premise of the scene. When you go, why should I do that? Then the other person has to go, well, I don't even know why, but now I got to make it up and let me think about it for a sec. You just made their brain hesitate. Number 2, if you're playing status and you're lower, well, why should I get on your boat? Well, wait, are you also a 10 with me? Right. So remember all of these reasons not to ask questions. And I figured I would add that to the soapbox for tonight. How's that?
Hey, Jesse, I wanted to say to Paul, my character was a little mean there, man. I'm sorry about that.
What's that?
Well, I was waiting to hear Les tell Paul to grow a few.
Yes, that was
Grow a pair.
I thought you might
mean.
call him. Any minute now you'd be calling him maggot or something like that. You know, it was pretty mean. All right, give me 2 more people that want to do this. 2 more people that want to do this.
I want to do it.
I would like to see Jack with, let's say, Barbara Berg. You're up. Have fun.
Is that him? What? Wait a minute. I got to get his picture.
You don't need it. Just start. You just start.
You always ask questions in class, Miss Berg.
Because I need to understand them clearly when you teach the subject.
We need to take you to the principal's office. This is the last time you will be interrupting the class.
When you take me to the principal's office.
Gather your things.
Okay, I will. I have a lot to tell the principal about you.
Okay, freeze. This is an interesting scene. However, it's not following the rules.
Well,
So the rules here, just to recall, is if somebody comes in with high status, the other person picks low.
right.
If the first person starts with low. So what I'm seeing is two people that are pretty high, one of them higher than the other. So I'm seeing like a 10 and a 9 in a scene. What I want to see is a 10 and a 1.
And
or
I
a
knew
1.
I knew I was doing that. Okay, but all
Let's
right,
do it again.
I'll go low or whatever. No,
No. Just start it.
Don't worry, you're doing fine. I'm just picking on you a little bit.
No.
Reminding you.
Barbara, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
I will try to be better to you. Don't cower in front of me, Jack.
No, I am cowering in front of you. Don't hit me.
Jack, I didn't mean to hit you.
Yes, you
love
did.
you.
Because you're high status and I'm low status. So
Okay, freeze.
your
I have
status.
to stop you. This is hilarious. I love it. Now we have the opposite. We have two pathetic low status people in the same scene.
Barbara, I was trying to help you by being pathetic so you could be
horrible. What I love about this is that it actually this is the exception that proves the rule anyway. Now we have two, whenever you have too high or too low status people together, it also makes an interesting scene. So that's what's great about this. It's working even though you're not doing it right.
Okay.
So
Well,
status
wasn't Barbara
works.
high status in that and Jack low status?
Well,
questionable.
maybe
Jack
a
was
1 and a 2
aggressive
together.
low status.
It was a very, very like a 1 and a 3, maybe. I need to see 1s and 10s in the same scene. I want to see a 1 and a 10. So Barb and Jack, you're not off the hook.
Okay.
Barb, you're going to start the scene. That'll be a little easier. You pick high or low in your head. Don't tell us.
Okay.
And then Jack is going to respond. Let's try it. Go.
Jack, when we're at the movie theater, you're always eating my popcorn because you have no money to buy yours.
I'm sorry, Barbara. I'm hungry.
Didn't my mother give you a bologna sandwich with a pickle before you came to the theater?
Yes, but it's not enough.
I realize you're a growing brother, but my goodness, didn't you eat that second sandwich Mom put in front of you?
Sis, because I knew if I would eat it, you'd hit me in the face again.
Yes. And do you listen to this face?
Yes, I do.
I will not ask that question again because it's wrong. So look at this face.
And
No.
good job. Barbara, you are scaring less. Barbara, you're scaring less. Jack and Barbara, that was really fun. I guarantee you almost that if we were on stage in one of our shows and you two came out with those strong of characters and did a scene, the audience would be riveted or falling off their chairs laughing or both, because it was very engaging and the energy was like really, really great. It was like magnetism. You guys see the difference when you have the status difference?
Yeah.
Creating the characters.
Yeah.
It really helped when Barb identified Jack as her brother, and because then all of a sudden everyone identified. Because I think it's hard to be a role that is unfamiliar, but when it's your brother, sometimes you're just mean to your brother, and you can identify with that. So that really was good. And Jack, you picked up on it.
There was one question asked, but it worked perfectly. I mean, it worked as that exception, I think, where they could do it. Did you know?
About the sandwich?
Yeah, something like that, but it was not interruptive at all. Jack jumped right back on it.
And Barb, you also said where you were. That was good.
Yeah.
So they also got the who, what, where a little bit in there.
Yeah.
Very nice. That was a
Crow. There was Crow.
There was Crow. A little bit of character, a little bit of the C in Crow is what we're focused on. So good. I think you did it. So I wasn't going to do this, but let's do a breakout room because I want everybody to try this with a partner. I think we're making progress with that, with this. So let's do it. So I'm going to recreate these rooms, give you brand new rooms. And now what we have, we have a 3-person room with Barbara, Jack, and Paul. And this one, because there's 3 in your room, the third person will come in after the first 2 have established high and low, and the third one will pick either high or low, and it's your choice. Okay. So the first person will establish it high or low. The second person has to switch, and third person wait a second and then come in and pick one and just see what happens. It'll be kind of fun. All right, give it a shot. Here we go. How'd it go?
Went pretty good.
Nancy and I have too much fun. I can't wait till we get back on stage, Nance.
I know. I was even a narrator a couple of weeks ago, which is always your, big thing. But like Mr. Know-It-All, it was fun as all get out.
You go, girl.
Sorry.
Did anybody have a challenge with it? Did anybody find it fun and easy?
It was fun.
It was easy.
Fun.
Did anybody learn anything new this time around, or maybe try something different?
They did a great job of cringing. Both of them.
What did the 3 group do? What did the 3-person group do? Tell me your characters.
Paul started off establishing Crow, being a manager of a restaurant where Barbara was very low status and picking her boogers and doing the things. And I watched them go at it. And then I decided to come in and I found stuff on the floor. And Paul was just a very demeaning boss yelling at us while we were very low status.
I
It's
love
funny. We had fun.
Good.
Hey.
I kind of enjoyed ours because neither one of us went really weird. It turned out we were both security for high-level people. It just happened that Barbara was dealing with presidents and vice presidents, and I was guarding a broom in a closet. But it was really like, the funny part about it, at least I don't know about you, Barbara, but the fun part about it for me was that we never did anything weird. I mean, it was just kind of like 2 sort of colleagues, one who admired the other one, talking about work.
I love that. That's the art of slow comedy. The dialogue itself was funny. You didn't even.
Were you the lower one because you were protecting a broom?
Well, actually, these days, I'm not sure. Protecting the broom might be the higher. I don't know.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Quick
Les.
question. What is this establishing Crow, or what were we talking about there? What is that?
All
Great.
right.
Okay, so CROST is an acronym that stands for character, relationship, objective, and where. And it's kind of one of the, there's a lot of people that teach it in improv, so we do too. And it's a fundamental improv fundamental and scene creation tool. So when you're thinking about what do I need in a scene for it to be successful, there's some building blocks. And those building blocks are usually expressed as Crow. The characters, who are the characters? What's the relationship between the 2 or 3 or 4? What's their objective? And that's more of an acting term, kind of like, what's my motivation, man?
Yeah.
You know, so when you're an actor, you have to know your objective in the scene. There's always something you want, even if it's something you don't want. You want to get away from something. You're going for pain, and or you're avoiding pain, and you're seeking pleasure. You know, that kind of thing. There's something you want in the scene, either from the other person or something you're after. And we don't talk about that much, so we're going to get into that later. But right now, we're focusing on character. The last one is where, and that's just where are you? So if you have all 4 of those things, the scene becomes exponentially more interesting, and usually will end in some good result if you can keep it going and you don't forget those things, right? Okay. So let's recap here. We're talking about characterization, and creating characters out of thin air. And we had 3 new ideas. One is the mask. The second one is tone of voice. And the third one is status, right? And the game we just played forced you, even Barbara Berg was forced to pick the opposite status of the other person in the scene. What was really interesting about your first 2 tries, though, Barb, that I liked, was when you were actually the same as Jack, it actually was still interesting. Even though you didn't follow the rule of the game, it was kind of cool. It was like, oh, what are these 2 people going to do? Either way you look at it, when we're aware of status, it helps you create characters. Okay. And it also helps establish the relationships, which is the R in Crow. And we're not even going there, but status is cool because it kind of does both. Helps you figure out your characters, helps you figure out the relationship between them. And it's kind of like a two for one, you know, with status. Mask, not so much with the relationship thing, and tone of voice, not really, but they all help, you know, with leading into that. But the first thing we want to establish in a scene is a character. So right now you've got 3 things in your head. I want you to try to keep them, maybe pick one of them or pick 2 of them or pull them out for the next thing we're doing, because we're going to play Slackers. So Slackers is sometimes a warm up and sometimes it's a game or a performance game of its own. It's a really cool game. So let me go over the ground rules of Slackers again. It's a little tricky at first, but once you see it and you do it a little bit, it's kind of like, oh yeah, no big deal, right? It's almost like riding a bike, but the first time you're on there, you might need some training wheels, you might fall over. Okay, so the way it works is there's 2 people in a scene, and we're going to stick to 2. Please, let's not have 3 people come in yet. Okay, stick to 2, right? And there's only 2 people at a time, but the whole group is playing simultaneously. All right, so it's like freeze tag in a way, except for we're not freezing positions. What you'll do is somebody outside of it will call freeze. And because we're on Zoom, we can't just tap somebody out. We're going to have you call their name. So for example, Nancy and Paul are in a scene and they're going along and everything's fine. And I'm looking at it going, oh, I got an idea and I want to contribute. I feel inspired to jump in. Now, if I don't have to jump in. But if I feel inspired, I'm going to say freeze. And then I'm going to say Paul. And what I mean by that is Paul is who I'm going to switch with. Paul is now out of the scene, but Nancy stays. And I am now in the scene with Nancy. Now, I don't replace Paul's character, by the way. I have no other relationship to Paul whatsoever necessarily. So it's not like I become Paul, right? I've seen that's a mistake a lot of people make too. They're like, oh, I'm freezing Paul. Now I have to become Paul's character. No. That's not Slackers. That's a different game. That's a different game. In this game, you're just a new person who happens to be in a scene with Nancy. Now, Nancy keeps her character. So for example, let's go back. Nancy and Paul are in a scene. Nancy is playing the part of a doctor. She is a Dr. Nancy Dewey. And then Paul is a firefighter. Now when Paul, firefighter Ferrari, that's cool sounding. Right, so now when I call freeze and I say Paul, the firefighter leaves the scene. I am now in a brand new scene. I'm not even necessarily in the same location or time, by the way. The only thing that stays the same is Nancy is a doctor. So you can change time and you can change place, but you don't change character. All right. What I've done is I'm jumping into a new scene with Nancy, the doctor, and let's say I'm a veterinarian. So I'm not a firefighter like Paul. I'm just a totally different person. But now Jesse, the veterinarian, is talking to Nancy, the general practice doctor. And we have a new scene. And then Blue says, you know what? I want to freeze Nancy out. And I'm going to say, freeze, Nancy, you're out. Blue jumps in. Now, Blue, the dog sitter, is in. I don't know why I picked that. That's what you do, but sorry. And then Jesse is still a veterinarian. Now, however, Blue could have said freeze and called me out. Even though Nancy has already been in a scene,
Been in it for a while.
The beginning, doesn't matter. Nancy stays in the scene as the doctor, and now we see Nancy the doctor with Blue the dog walker. Okay, so here now you kind of understand those are the rules of how it works, the transitions. But what are we really trying to do? Well, what we're trying to do in Slackers was kind of a movie, and the idea is you're following these characters around and you're seeing them in different relationships. This is a very much a character and relationship game. We're trying to see like how does this character relate to different people, and can they stay, and as an actor, can you stay consistent with your character no matter who you're talking to, unless that person affects you in certain ways that would change you, right? So you need to be, if Nancy is the doctor, she can be the doctor in every scene. How does the doctor talk to her neighbor? How does the doctor talk to the firefighter? How does the doctor talk to the veterinarian, right? And the other thing we're trying to do, what's really cool, is typically a really good game of Slackers will end the way it began. So you will see all these characters rotating around and interacting with each other. And we realize that it's kind of like the game of 6 Degrees of Separation, or 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon, whichever one you prefer. So like, let's say we've seen Nancy relate to a bunch of people, and then we see how they relate to each other. And they might even talk about Nancy behind her back in a scene, right?
Ah.
So We see the interrelationships going on, like a sitcom with a whole bunch of characters, like one of those sitcoms that has an ensemble cast. And some of the scenes you see these two, and then you see these two, and then these two have a thing, and then these two have a relationship, and then this one cheating on this one, and you see how these two, it's like a soap opera in a way.
Friends.
And then it ends where it began. So the very last scene, what's really cool is if the last scene is Nancy and Paul they were the first two, remember? They also have the last scene. And that's how it goes full circle. And the audience loves if we can resolve it that way, because we saw all these relationships, and then it comes back. We haven't seen Nancy and Paul for a while, since the beginning. And then they come back and they kind of, they have the conclusion, or they have the answer, or they wrap it up and tie it with a bow, and they kind of finish it. Right. So that's Slackers. It's a fun game. We're going to spend a little bit of time doing that right now, which is totally awesome. Everybody's in the scene. I may or may not be in it. I might just decide to play along with you guys. Here's another thing. For tonight, there's a couple ways to play Slackers. The way I would like you to play tonight is when you pick a character, stick with that character the whole time. So in other words, if I come in and I'm the veterinarian with Nancy, and then I get tagged out, and Blue does a scene, and Les does one, and Raymond, and everybody's in, and then like 2 minutes later I come in, and now I'm the president of a company. And then I leave, and then I come back, and now I'm a flight attendant. It's like, wait a minute. That adds even more complexity to an already complex game. So we don't want to add that complexity for tonight. That is a way to play it. Sometimes it is played because there's usually a main character and the others are just rotating around. It doesn't really matter. In this case, I would like you to stick with your character the whole time. Now, you may have one scene, you might have 5 scenes. Be okay with it. We're not like, hey, you had 2 scenes and I've only had 1. When's my second scene? You may not get a second scene. All right. So shut up. I'm just saying it's got to be organic. Now you can push your way into a scene in Slackers. You could say freeze. And the last couple only had 10 seconds for their scene. You can do that. But tonight I'd like you to try not to do that. So give everybody at least 20 seconds, right, before you call freeze. And if you need a timer, set a timer so that you don't accidentally call freeze before 20 seconds. Give them 20 seconds of a scene because they may have to establish something. Now, you don't have to wait 4 minutes. In fact, I don't want anybody to wait 4 minutes. This is like, these scenes may be a full minute, maybe 2 at the tops, but there should be nobody in a scene here for like 4 minutes, in class, probably ever, unless it's the most brilliant thing you've ever seen and everybody's rolling in the street laughing. Okay. All right. So, and Jack, good point. If you're coming into a scene, try and establish where you are in your first line. If you're changing place and time, that's really good. Who, what, where are things to remember. Who, what, where, you want to establish that. Who, what, and where. Now, I did a lot of talking. So now let me quickly recap and make it simple. There's 2 people in a scene. You're going to stick with a character. You're going to remember the mask or the tone of voice or the status to help you create that character. That's all you need to remember. I don't want you thinking about too many other things. Just try to think of a character and jump in. And then when anybody else in the group feels like it, after about 20 seconds, you can say freeze. And then you say the name of the person you want to have removed. And then you are now in the scene with that new person. All right. Any questions?
When we see the original 2 starters come together again, even if you have a great idea, back off on it so they can close.
I love that idea. Let's do that tonight. And if we have extra time, we'll just start a new scene.
Okay.
Yeah, great. So a suggestion for this is telephone. Telephone is the word suggestion. And let's see how it goes. Whoever wants to jump in first, and then the second person will jump in with them, or you can call somebody out if you want them in the scene with you. Go ahead.
Nancy, lift me up in this bucket truck. We got to go fix this line up here. Raise me up gently, please.
Okay, I'll try not to dump you out again. Yeah, because I can do that, but we got to make sure the weather's permitting too, because we got these wire things going on.
Well, I kind of appreciate that. I've got my safety lines on this time. I mean, the big boss got pretty angry because we cracked a couple of helmets in the last outing, and it's a good thing I landed on my butt because it could have been a lot worse.
Nancy, freeze.
Non-titer.
Nancy, freeze. I say, sir, you up there in the bucket, could you call to England for me? My cell phone isn't working, and you seem to have the controls.
Not a problem, man. Let's see, that's area code, it's a country code 0123.
Yes, and then it's 777-2525. Oh, thank you so much, young man.
2525.
Is it ringing?
There's somebody talking about balls and chains and bubbles and squeaks. I'm not sure what language this is.
Please, Bill. I got your balls ready for you, Blue. Good to hear from you again.
Oh my goodness. I am just so, it's a whole new country, and I'm so glad to meet another foreigner.
Yeah, I hope you're liking it in America. It's very nice to be with somebody from kind of the same area,
Well, I know. I mean, we're still really not in the same area, but close enough, Ireland, England, and yeah.
Please, Blue. Welcome to Painting 101. You're doing great.
Thank you. I like painting. I've painted barns, I've painted chateaus, I've painted a lot of things. This should be great.
We need to do one of you in the nude if we can, sir.
Yeah, I get that. It's easier to clean up that way.
Well, we don't have all the time in the world, so we need you to drop those drawers.
Sure, there you go.
Oh, we're going to need...
So, Painter, this bucket truck has been getting pretty rusty. It's been out here for 5 years now. I don't know what your problem is, but we need to get this painted.
Oh, do we ever? Sir, you look absolutely gorgeous up there. If you could just slowly take one of your tops down a little bit. I mean, this truck is beautiful. You look great.
I got this can of Rust-Oleum up here. Take this and paint the bucket truck.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful bucket truck. You've done such a great job. But,
Bill, freeze. Say, mister, you the painter over there. Hey, I have this pole and I need it painting, and it needs to be brightly colored with sparkles on it.
Little girl, I don't know if your parents would let me in your house like this, but here we are.
Well, that's fine. My mom doesn't know what I do when they're not home, and I just do all kinds of stuff, and I like colored poles because I climb them. I put on my bikinis and climb them.
Freeze. Barb. Mr. Gorbett, I've been in your painting class for about 8 months now, and I really love it. I really do. I got a lot of paintings of naked Scottish men, I'm just wondering if we're going to maybe get a different model,
Oh, Sugar Bear. I mean, yes, different models. I heard of a couple from suburbia who were working on power lines, and they were, they'd be perfect.
Okay, well, hey, you're the teacher. Did I get his backside pretty well here? Do you think?
Oh, child, you are a genius. That is the best backside I have ever seen.
Thank you.
Freeze. Jesse. Mr. Gorbett, you're under arrest for indecency. Come with us.
That is absolutely fantastic. If you can just, indecency with art.
Turn around. You don't have to bend over. Just turn around. There you go. Thank you.
Officer, this is just, if you could stay there, I'm going to mentally draw you. This is just, Face here. Okay, camera.
Mr. Corbett, we need you to come down to the station now.
Okay, absolutely. I mean, I would love to paint.
Please. Les. Okay, Jack, here we are out in the great outdoors, and you are trying to bother my workers by wanting to paint them and maybe get a little indecent.
Yes, indecency is all the rage now with the art, Nancy, and you're doing a great job of showing them to me. Absolutely.
Well, we can't be having any of that because it would distract from the work that we're trying to get done at the moment.
It's beautiful work, beautiful. Hey, say, can you tell the neighbor to move this way a little bit?
Jack, freeze. Well, excuse me, you seem to be the captain of the cruise here, and there was an awfully nice gentleman that was in a bucket about 30 feet up in the air, and he so helped me make a call, and I wanted to show him my appreciation. Might you have his information?
Well, we don't fraternize on the job.
Oh, I suppose not, but well, perhaps you would pass the message on to him for me. I so appreciated his kindness.
I will tell him that little old lady that you called England to, or to England for, was very appreciative, but I can't distract from the job at hand.
Blue,
I see,
please.
I see.
Oh, Nancy. Nancy Blue, are you there on the phone? Can you talk to me a little bit? I'm here in England, and I need some money, and I need you to ship it to me fast. I've been kidnapped, and they say they're going to cut my finger off if I don't get some money. You got to help me.
Sister, I'm so tired of your pranks. Now this one just about takes the cake, and I'm done with you. Absolutely done with you. Now,
If they don't cut my finger off, they might cut my ear off too and send it to you. Don't you care anything? I mean, don't we mean a lot to each other over the years? You've helped me before. Please
Freeze.
help me.
Blue. What are you doing on the phone?
Please.
Get off the phone now. I'll
What?
chop both your fingers off right now if you don't get off the phone.
I'm off the phone, but I don't like this at all. What are you gonna
Do what you're supposed to do.
sir?
You're going to phone for money. That's all the phoning you're going to do, and I'm going to be with you when you do it.
I have someone that works, I think, in PUD or something, and he might be able to bring me some money.
All right, I'll listen in. Just do it.
Okay.
Freeze. Barbara. Hey, Dad, look, thanks for all the money for the painting classes, but I'm gonna need some more. They said they're gonna get a new model so we can get more than just naked Scottishmen paintings up around here. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm gonna need some more money though.
I work hard to get you some money. I'm working hard right now to get you some money.
All right, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Enough of this.
Freeze, Paul. So Jesse, I know you've become this painter specializing in Scottish butts. We've got this truck now. I've been up here for the last 6 years now, and I'm getting a little tired of you painters not getting your butts, Scottish or otherwise, out here to paint this truck.
Well, I'm sorry. I just been preoccupied in class. My teacher hasn't said that I'm qualified to go out with you guys yet and paint, but I guess I could.
you know, I don't even mind if you paint it, you know, that
Yeah.
hardening stuff. I just need the truck painted. It's starting to rust apart. And if it rusts much more, man, I'm coming down.
All right then.
Grace, Jesse. Like I said, we need to get this stuff done. You're busy about painting and about butts. Well, if you're gonna do butts, do butts. Hang one over the edge or whatever. Might be kind of nice. No, but anyway, why are you worried about getting the bucket painted when you're supposed to be working the wires?
You know, we've got all these things going on here. We have these crazy people tying up the line. I don't know what this, you know, fingers being cut. I don't care if their fingers get cut off. I want us to do a good job, be respected by the community. We can't do that in an ugly truck, for crying out loud.
How are we gonna be respected when they're painting your butt?
And scene. That's the perfect line to end on. Good job. All right. Not bad, everybody. So that was pretty good. There's only a few questions. I asked one of them. But you know, even the questions that were asked in those scenes weren't too bad because they were usually rhetorical questions, or like I asked a yes or no question. So it wasn't like anybody was, you know, asking a question that really slowed a scene down. So we did great there. It was about 12 minutes long, 11 minutes and 54 seconds, which is perfectly fine for a full Slackers scene with this many people in it. It was interesting. There was a lot of different characters. I like the accents. Thank you, Blue and Raymond, for doing accents. And then Jack, I'm sorry, Jack, you also had an accent. Good job on trying
to changed. I gotta work on staying a character if I choose a character.
Yeah, Jack, your accent changed like from like more of this artiste French
kinda.
Yeah.
It went to a Southern accent.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, then you were a Southern belle.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Raymond, you almost went from Scottish to Indian for a second, then you went back to Scottish. Blue, you were solid with that character. That's a character.
Good.
Bill was good too. Bill was perfect, like deadpan, but also real and just like serious.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I love how Bill said very deadpan. Here I am 6 years later.
I know, that made me laugh.
Bill
He
did a
was
great
rusty.
job of being the straight man in the scene and just laying it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Paul, my favorite moment, and Les did a great job of coming in, is that to arrest you.
Yeah.
That was great. My favorite moment was Paul, who just came in with the perfect timing after Barbara said she was being, you know, held against her will. And then Blue says, "Oh, you're pranking me again." And then Paul comes in and he's coming down on Barbara. That was really funny to me. I thought that was a really good moment.
Okay, the frustrating part about this game is that when Les came in as the cop, that was just after we had the bikini lady climbing the pole. After we got the people painting the butts.
Right.
And I was just a little late. I wanted to break in and ask Officer Les to go and arrest these people and get them out of the way so we could get my damn truck painted.
And I wanted to ask Jesse, or I wanted to arrest Jesse because there was black market Scottish butt paintings everywhere.
Oh, great.
I thought that was one of the better ones that I've ever seen us do. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah,
it was working. Yeah,
and you know what I'll say?
Place for us to finish it too, which I thought was neat.
Yeah. To Bill's point too, and what you were saying, Jesse, Bill's motivation was to paint a fence, and look how funny that ended up being. It was a very simple
thing. A truck, Jack.
Or a truck. Sorry, not a fence. A truck. You could tell I was in the scene. A truck. He could have very well have been trying to. The goal was to tie his shoes, and then all those scenes brought us back to that. Or it can be very simple like that. It was awesome.
What's fun about it is if you were the personality where you love, you know, the complexity of improv, and you love to try to remember and do callbacks and remember plot lines and characters, then this is a great game. Also, if you're the person that can't do that and it overwhelms you and you can't remember anybody's name, even your own, and you don't know what's going on in the story, this is still a great game because it works for both. If you can just hold your character and you can kind of forget what's going on, but just stay in the scene with whoever you're in as your character, usually everything works out fine. And for those people that are trying to really think all of these layers and trying to figure it all out, they have plenty to do in their brain. They're busy and they'll enjoy that process. And then they'll come in with something, you know, that really is brilliant at some point, maybe. And then if you don't have that, it's okay. You just stay committed to your character. And sometimes that's the brilliant thing. So you don't have to be intimidated. Whatever your strengths and weaknesses are, this game works for everybody. That's a nice thing about it. And there's only 2 people in a scene, so it doesn't get overwhelming also. The only thing that I would say that, you know, that we maybe next time want to try is see if we can even pick stronger characters and see what happened that maybe, or try to pick characters that are even, you know, like we try to stick closer to the theme of the original 2. Or make them main protagonists and see if we can revolve around them. But that's not right or wrong. It's just different ways of playing this game. Even if it's just kind of a random thing, it's effective because it teaches you these basics. And don't forget, this is also great practice for all the other stuff we were doing, especially long form. This is a great kind of transition between short form and long form, because with this, like the Herald, if you get good at this, it actually translates into the Herald because it helps you with all of those complex scenes that we have. And then you're trying to have little through lines and callbacks and tie-ins and all that stuff. This works really well for that because you're trying to see how all these relationships work together. And it's really great for that. Before we wrap up tonight, any last statements, questions, anything?
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody else think to themselves when playing Slackers, where can I take this person who I'm going to come into the scene with? So I was thinking of strong characters like Les playing a police officer. If I would have tapped myself out, and it's like, where can you take that character to, like the birth of a child, to like the, you know, you're not supposed, you know, like if he was staying true to character, that to me is the brilliance of this game, is that as walk-ons or as people, if we're in a show, you can literally, if you're changing scenes at least, you could take a strong character or a weak character and put them in a position of awkwardness, and it makes it even that much more funny. Or I don't know if that's just me.
No, that's great. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You can also change time. So if let's use Les as an example. Les is the cop.
Yeah. Cool.
The next scene could just be the cop, you know, 10 minutes later, an hour later, the next day, or it could be a flashback to when he was a kid. And that's playing Slackers on a slightly more complicated level, but it still could follow the rules, because maybe he's in a scene, I call freeze, you're out, I jump in with him, and I'm his dad, and I was a police officer too, and I'm in the ropes. You know, he's learning how to be a tough guy real young. You know,
right.
That could be a whole thing, and then, you know, it's like we do a flashback, and then we have to return to the present. I'm glad we didn't try that tonight, because it makes it even harder. You got to remember, how are we going to get back to the present and all that. But you can do it. That's the beauty of this game, is it's wide open for interpretation that way.
Yeah. So Jesse, if that happened, you know, one thing that I noticed, I don't know if Nancy did, but I was trying to, you know, really kind of keep track of everything to try to kind of bring it back in as it wrapped up.
Yeah.
If you had something like that where you had this flashback, do you actually want to try to bring that back in, or just kind of keep the present time things going in? I mean, I would think you could almost bring it back in by, you know, somebody seeming a little weird with what was going on, but any guidance on that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I guess it depends on if you're trying to end the way we began. Let's say you and Nancy are in a scene together in the beginning. If our goal is to get back to you and Nancy in a scene together, then you either have to do that in the past or the future. You know, time has lapsed at some point. So as long as what I'm saying is, as long as we get you guys back into a scene at the end, then it's all, the audience will accept all of it. So for example,
I tapped Jack out near the
let's
end.
say, let's say we go back in time for Les's childhood, and then we stay back in time for whatever reason. That's going to be really hard to do, because all the characters that were in any other scenes, now if they were to jump in, they're still back in time. So what were they go back to when they were children too, and they just happen to meet less, or something. That's possible. But at some point, like theoretically, that could happen. And then what would happen is we'd be seeing you and Nancy as kids, and that would end the whole scene. That's possible. It's just way harder. What would more likely happen is we go back in time with Les, and then someone tags and gets him out, and then they do a scene with me, but it's back in the present. And so that little back in time moment was just like one scene, and we get rid of it, and now we're back in the regular time zone.
Yeah, because Jesse, if you stay out of the time realm, then you don't have the relationships, because they might not have met till they were older.
Well,
right.
Or it could have been that we come back together in the last scene, and we're just two friends in the playground playing with a toy truck.
Yeah, this is where we get into the space-time continuum.
Yeah, and that gets a little
existential
bizarre.
crisis discussion.
Yeah.
It's like Back to the Future, like, oh no, and then all of a sudden one of us erases, like I just disappear because I get trapped or something, and Zoom implodes because it doesn't get invented. So that's where we run into that issue. But other than that, I think we're gonna be good. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. This was awesome. Everybody's getting better. I love it. Don't forget our characters, and this is my character list of games that we're gonna play and practice things that we're gonna do. And we did 3 of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 of them on here. I don't know if we'll do all 10, but we're going to definitely do more than just the 3. So that's just for characterization. I hope you enjoyed it.
It was fun.
Yeah,
Enjoyed
thanks,
it.
Richard.
Good seeing you all. Be safe.
Thank you, guys. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night, y'all.
That was an